Every day we end up doing about 75 crores of lending, right? So that's the kind of volume what we have built. And when we launched the app, it went viral. Consistency is very much required in this industry. The top 25 people, the attrition is almost nil to zero. Back in 2016 to 2018, when we were building KreditBee, the India stack was opening up as well. So they all thought like we are going to replace banks. Mr. Premji, for all reasons, carries a great credibility in the Indian market. We have served close to about like 15 million customers. It's roughly about 1% or more of the entire Indian population, right?
Welcome to the very first episode of this series. My name is Sita Lakshmi Narayan, host for this episode. And today we are sitting with someone who's truly shaping the future of technology-driven lending in India. Joining us is Madhusudan Ekambaram, better known as Madhu, CEO and co-founder of KreditBee. KreditBee is India's largest technology-driven lending business. Before launching KreditBee, Madhu led global e-commerce operations and brings in deep expertise in running technology-driven businesses. Madhu, it's a pleasure to have you here. Let's start by taking our listeners and viewers to the very beginning. Digital lending is all about trust, balancing speed, innovation, and compliance. Madhu, what was your thought process behind launching KreditBee? What really motivated you to start KreditBee? And what was the specific problem in the market where you trying to solve with this?
I guess there were two parallel things that was running in my life. So one is I was an e-commerce guy. I was doing e-commerce across SEA market, largely across about 7 countries, right? So had this dream job in the sense that I could pack my bags and then I could go around to any of these countries. My father was a surgeon, right? And he was running this 35-bedded hospital setup, right? And he had asked me to come and set up some things for him in terms of the organization, something of that sort. So I took that up because it was more about math. Everything in pharma distribution works on a credit basis. You go and supply to the retail medical shops and then on a credit. So I took that up. First we infused all our savings into that because you need to offer credit to this the medical shops. I started borrowing from my friends at certain interest rate and then I could lend at higher rates. The thing that happened was, and I was only working for about half a day to 1 day on this particular thing in a week. At one point, my earnings from this pharma credit business surpassed my salary.
Wow.
So this is the second thing that happened. So then you always start thinking, right? What am I doing? So the idea was two things matching. One is the urge that I should now start doing something because I had seen that I was capable of doing it. The second is the opportunity of this credit, which I had seen in the e-commerce market, that India is a wide open market to do anything in digital lending. So then I started putting some time across US markets to understand how this internet credit works. Started spending time with a lot of these risk guys, bank guys and everything. And I think that's when I thought like digital lending is the a real business that I should be doing it. Wherein we were looking for some checkout finance partner, okay? So it is all, you have to roll back your thoughts then that it was an Bajaj Finance models of the world where they were offline very heavy and still not ready to take that plunge to get to online, right? So that was the period. So that opportunity was kind of visible for me, and India was anyways pretty wide open in that way that one could always come and do something here, right? So this is one stream of thing that was happening.
Since those early days, Madhu, Fintech landscape has sort of gone through a dramatic shift and changes. How has KreditBee's vision and strategy adapted to these shifts, and how has the journey been from your perspective?
So I started in 2016, right? I think the thought then was Fintech is a challenger to banks, okay? So they all thought like we are going to replace banks, so the VCs were thinking like that. That came to a timeline probably in 2020s that Fintech is a bubble. This is just going to burst out, there's nothing left here, right? Then came a time now probably where everyone has understood that banks, fintechs and all these guys are having a specific need in the industry and they are going to coexist and continue, right? So that is, to be very simply put, I think this is the transition, but let me add more to that, right? Citibank, Stancy, HSBC. They were the first ones to go and put ATMs across every street of Bangalore and everything, right? Now, I'll tell you one important factor about that. All of them thought India is a third world country. If you put one box with a cash loaded, Indians will take away that box, they will break it open and then they'll run away with the money. What those guys did actually was they challenged the belief system, saying that no, we see Indians probably in a very different way and we think this is going to work out. The traditional belief system was that a lender wouldn't lend to a borrower without having a face-to-face meeting like this, right? That was the belief system, right? When I went and explained my concept that no, I'm going to take off this, I was largely the first one to launch this KreditBee, that I'm going to take off this barrier, I'm going to make it entirely digital. Nobody was ready to believe that. But anyways, so I went with my conviction that I have to launch this complete digital journey. So that's how this story began for us.
Madhu, you spoke about adapting to shifts. Could you help us understand what sort of technology in the realm of AI that you are doing within KreditBee, and what is the potential that you see of what AI can do in the financial industry as well?
What I believe in any lending company or any fintech or any kind of a banking company is the only holy grail is how is your risk management, right? What kind of credit costs, what kind of cohort losses or credit losses that your company is bearing, right? And the key element that can control is the risk management, and this risk management has to be intelligent. All the more for us because we deal with a huge numbers. Just to give you a perspective, I think every day we get almost about 50,000 new loan applications, right? And we only approve about 10%. So about 5,000 to 5,500 new borrowers get a loan. And addition to that is about another 20,000 loans which come from my existing borrowers, right? So roughly we end up doing about like 25,000 odd crores, 25,000 odd loans on a daily basis, right? Every day we end up doing about 75 crores of lending, right? So that's the kind of volume what we have built. In this kind of a sheer volume, there's no way a human can take any decisions, right? There are these systems, there are these intelligent systems which can take a call on how much to give and whom to give, right? We are not facing, not even a single customer we are facing in physical, in person, right? Of course, today we do video KYC and that's a video calling that happens, but in person we have never met anything. After underwriting so many, we have served close to about like 15 million customers, unique customers in our journey, which basically means that it's roughly about 1% or more of the entire Indian population, right? Now that population includes even a lot of non-eligible customers, right? So under 21, you are not supposed to lend. So if you look at only the addressable market, I think we have already a much larger pie, what we have kind of already addressed to. Core AI work is yet to happen. We have not built those LLMs models and everything. So while the AI definitely is going to be the future, and that is, I feel that it's a investable industry. What has to be looked at is how the policies, guidelines from the regulators is going to come, and what kind of industry might get hampered the most, what kind of industry might be allowed to grow in a larger fashion remains the question. I think if I were to start something at this point of time, there's no question in my mind not to go for AI. Yeah.
Talking about milestones, why don't you walk us through what, from your perspective, made Premji Invest partner with you, and what stood out during those conversations with Premji Invest?
Few things that came into picture, right? So one is, what was the immediate change was a good brand name that is getting tagged with me, right? That was an immediate change. It's a perception to the industry, right? So there's a credible, Mr. Premji for all reasons carries a great credibility in the Indian markets, and there is a lot of fan following for what he has done in the IT world and everything. The second thing which largely comes in very handy once you are going to banks to borrow money, or you are going to rating agencies, and then they get certain good perception about probably looking at the cap tables and whatnot. The second thing comes is where I was talking about the understanding of the business itself, right? So I think the practices were very core, wherein there was an FS practice within Premji Invest, right? To be very honest, I think in that Series C or the September 2020 round, what we talked about, I think out of all that 11 term sheets what I had, I think I had chosen Premji to be the lead of it, primary lead of that particular round, and rest of the guys actually kind of were constructed around that, but Premji came in as the first primary lead for me, right? I think that shift was very much important, which came in from largely was led by PE investors, specifically Premji Invest, and then there were other guys who added to that. I don't deny that there was no support from other private equities, but this is how it kind of made a difference for me in building the company from there on after they came in. Yeah.
What would you say for the next generation of entrepreneurs who are sort of trying to build something in this regulated financial services industry?
Got it. I do some angel investing, right? So because of that, I end up meeting a lot of these folks, right? Mostly what I think is that, a lot of people are either too early in the journey, in the sense that I'll tell you, it is always that you can go and challenge and be successful. The timing has to be right. Infrastructure has to be right. What was right for us was back in 2016 to 2018 when we were building KreditBee, the India stack was opening up as well.
True.
It isn't that, I was an innovator that, if I was there 2 years or 3 years later, probably that just way would have gone, because the stack opened up.
Maybe had you come early, you would have probably
had a lot of issues of even scaling up, right? So stack opened up, and then so we could use a lot of other ecosystem to kind of build into the systems, and we were the early ones, or the first ones to go and hit that. So timing also has to kind of little bit play its own role in life on when you have picked up such industry, right?
Shifting gears probably, as a lending business, constant capital raise is a struggle that you have to sort of put up with. Can you walk us through your fundraising journey? What has been your learnings in the last many years of fundraising you have done? And what is one such eye-opening moment that you're sort of coming across as you are preparing for an IPO?
I think a good part about us or about my company is that anytime I had gone out to raise fund, I've raised fund. So that's the good outcome. I mean, it may not be right. It may not be right to say that everywhere the life is always so green, but at least for me, whenever I went out, I got a investor invested in. Of course, valuation is always a discussion. I mean, founders never get what they want probably. Again, the earlier seed stage and the Series A stage, investors were very much kind of attracted with the growth that was happening. As I told, like the app was viral and we were tremendously growing. We were profitable also so early. I think that attracted a lot of VCs. For me, in that stage, more than getting equity, my troubles were in getting debt, right? So because we were still a very small, unknown NBFC in the market, banks to take such calls was taking a lot of time. I think debt is something what I struggled in the initial stages of my life than really equity. So there were always people chasing us, wanting to invest into the company, right? As I told, I think this is a journey which I like every company to go through, because the more hard milestones, benchmarks you put for yourself, the better are the outcomes, and your business becomes much more robust. Consistency is very much required in this industry. The moment you hit public markets, the markets like you to be more consistent and predictable, right? The journey of preparing to that is not going to come with such mindsets of growth at any cost or no importance towards unit economics or PAT. Only growth could be the other metrics, right? So there are multiple things what has to be bridged in this last 4.5 years for me, after the private equity guys and Premji Invest came into the picture, right? Now just adding to that, I guess that is one of the key test of many of the digital lending or many of the businesses. Not only lending, but I think many businesses were tested out during that COVID. I mean nothing can test you personally as a businessman more than COVID, what it has done, right? I guess as I told, we were doing almost 800 crores disbursement on March of 2020. We were still a small company. Okay, so our equity was very small, but I had to arrange a lot of capital as a debt. We borrow from banks, we borrow from other NBFCs. During that time, we used to even borrow a lot from families, individuals, right? So I had borrowed a lot of money, which was in thousands of crores from the market. So post that, I think a lot of things panned out because the size of the business was growing higher, and fintechs were making phenomenal contribution to the economy.
What is your eventual next step that you are seeing in terms of leveraging this data into product 2, product 3, product 4?
I don't treat the data is at my own disposal. With data, what you get is more responsibility, right? So responsible behavior to the data is the prime importance for a company. 80% plus of my customers are from non-metro cities. I don't do rural. I'm not a MFI. So let's classify this as a middle India, right?
True.
Of course, we are not like saying we are not catering to metro, but the metro focus has been, or the metro customers is 20% of my entire customer base. I think the opportunity for us is very large now, right? So this is my own customer, and he knows us well. He has taken loan. There's the trust that has been kind of built between the lender and the borrower here. Now it all becomes like, well, can I successfully offer other lending products to my own customers?
I have few rapid fire questions where I would like to just get your view. One myth about fintech you would like to bust?
I guess BNPL is not going to work in Indian markets soon.
Your favorite leadership book?
As I told, I'm going to write one, so you have to wait for it. So,
What's one thing about your job that surprises people?
one thing about my job that surprises people is that probably I'll not be able to get myself hired if I leave this job, right? So I feel CEOs, founders are, after spending some 5-10 years, already for me it's almost close to about like 9 years, doing this role, for someday, touch wood, it doesn't come that I have to go and give interview to here Premji Invest or somewhere. It would be very, very tough for me to become an employee and then start working. So therefore, probably I'm unemployable, right? So
once a leader, always a leader, Madhu. Thank you so much.
I hope so. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah.